G'day Bomber fans. So yesterday I asked you guys to give me some hypothetical trades. Today I'm going to go over them. I'm going to say whether they could happen, whether they work, whether I like them or not. Just a little video to break up all the info dump videos to give us all the rest and just have a bit of fun. So let's get into some trades that you guys want to see. And just quickly, I haven't used every trade left in the comments because there were heaps. I kind of just picked some random ones out with some different names involved, some funkier ones. So if yours isn't here, I do apologise. I've tried to do as many different players as I could to avoid just talking about Stringer the whole time. But I do appreciate all the comments, very fun. Leave some more down in the comments below if I didn't get to yours and I'll answer them there. But let's get straight into it. Starting with the cheeky little double trade from Richard, we get rid of Stringer and Shiel in the first trade. We send them over to the orange team for Connor Stone in a future second. We then, in a separate trade, I'm guessing, trade that future second to Carlton. They give us pick 34, and then we flex on St. Kilda for having more flags. I like the last part. Rosa should be doing that. That second part is also already maybe happening in real life, so you nailed that. We may be trading away our own future second to Carlton for pick 34, so that is on the money. The first part, I think maybe GWS say no, to be honest. I don't think Stringer and Shiel have the trade value for us to get Stone in the second rounder, even though Stone isn't, or he's not really a proper AFL player that anyone really knows about yet. I think in a weird way, his trade value might not be far off Stringer or Shiel's as it is. Even if it's a future second rounder, a GWS future second rounder would be pick 35, so that could kind of work, but I could see why GWS would say no here. From their perspective, they have a player that they want to keep at the club. We're kind of forcing out two veterans. Rosa would have to go full politician trying to convince the Giants that Shiel is worth trading for. It's actually really hard to know what a trade for all of these guys individually looks like. Their value, assessing that is really tricky. I don't know yet. I'd like to see this happen personally. I think we win this one, but that probably means it's unrealistic. If there are any GWS fans, I don't think there would be. If there are any there in the comments, let me know if you'd be happy with this deal. Alright, Gary, we get pick 7 to get in ahead of St. Kilda for that Kako bid and give away our first pick next year to do that. I like moving up the order to get a player in before Kako, and it also means we have pick 9 to move around even for next year with another club, so you kind of shuffle around first picks between years, but that way you're still able to get in before Kako anyway, so it's pretty much 5 first round picks in 2 years if you get me, but you're only using 4 of them. And I like Alex Taru. He's a really promising player. It's a big reason why I have this one here. The only thing about this is that St. Kilda probably don't want our future first. If we were North or Richmond, it would be a lot more appealing for them because those teams will likely be in the bottom 4, giving St. Kilda a better pick for next year. But St. Kilda will argue that our pick next year should be around the same range as it is this year, which is lower down the draft order. So in their eyes, they could potentially just slide down the order 2 years in a row for no reason. I think if you swap these picks and then give them something else later, it works. Not as high as 31, but maybe around the 40 or 50 range if we manage to get capital like that. But I just get the feeling St. Kilda are going to be an absolute nightmare to negotiate with. I just know they're going to needlessly drag everything out. They're going to be the villains of this trade period, I feel. Chris Evans, Captain America, love your work, Cap. Keep it up. This might be one of the last Shiel and Stringer ones I do. I think quite a few were Stringer and Shiel, but I just can't talk about them the whole video because that'll get boring. But all of them were pretty good though. I just chose this one because of the Avengers. Stone and 15 for Stringer, Shiel and 31. So I feel like we probably win this one a bit too much. Pick 15 for Stringer, Shiel, and 31 is probably more fair than 15 and Stone. Maybe a wild call, maybe I'm undervaluing our players. Let me know if I am, because that is a big possibility. But I just don't think GWS will be giving up that much for these two. Let me know if I'm being stupid, but I just don't see teams giving up top 20 picks for them. Alright, HPRO or HPRO, however it's pronounced. This is Stringer and Laverty, so it doesn't count. Himmelberg for Stringer and Laverty. I hope you mean Harry Himmelberg and not Elliot Himmelberg. I reckon Harry is a fair bit better than Elliot. He's probably also a fair bit better than these two as well. He's a bit younger, he's 27 or 28, so he's got a couple of extra years on them, and he's just also a better player, or a more reliable player than Laverty at least, because I guess Laverty's been thrown in here for that defensive swap, so they get rid of Himmelberg, they get Stringer up forward, Laverty down back. I mean, he's not really someone you think about too much, Himmelberg, but he's just such a reliable player, I feel. I just like, he plays for them, he's never injured, he's always fit, he can be a solid forward, can be a solid defender. I rate him as a player. He's kind of the opposite of these two in many ways. Stringer at his best is one of the better players in the comp. Himmelberg doesn't get to that level, but you could just rely on Himmelberg more than you can with Stringer and Laverty. I don't think you can rely on either of those two players too much. I'd gladly take Himmelberg in this trade over these two players. He isn't an amazing player, but he would fix some of our issues in the back six. I doubt the Giants would want to do this though. Jack says Benjamin Hobbs to Richmond for pick 32. It's always tough around this range for a third-year player, a third-year first-round draftee, I should say, especially if they aren't playing well. So Sartas, for example, Essendon would argue he deserves a first-round pick back in return for him because that's where we took him quite recently. We haven't had time to develop him. But when you're in a system for 3 years, I feel like that third year is where your trade value starts to be further away from that draft tag. So it's tougher finding that sweet spot. Richmond do have plenty of picks around that range and they aren't needing a lot of them. We can easily get more out of a team this loaded. I think 2 second-round draft picks would make more sense. I don't think Hobbs is worth a first rounder, and I think a second rounder seems too small, but 2 second rounders feels a little bit better. Maybe even a second rounder and a third rounder. I'd probably rather him to stay, but 2 second round picks would be handy. Alright, Sam Draper for a future second. I'm going to hit this one with a fast no, and the main reason for this is free agency. It's just a broken system right now. Draper is worth a second rounder, I agree with you, but next year when he's a free agent, he would attract so much more through compensation. We would rather Draper leave next year if he was to leave. We would rather him leave next year rather than this year. I'm sure Draper would attract band 2 compensation at least, maybe even band 1, and those 2 bands would give us a first round draft pick. If Josh Battle, Perryman, and Cumming get you a first round draft pick, so will Draper. So I would rather him leave as a free agent rather than in a trade. Archie Perkins for pick 28. That is another tough one. I feel like right now he is worth around that mark, but I think I personally would rather stick with him just because at his best he has been a game changer. Now he's barely been at his best, but I would hate for us to send him away for pick 28 and see him grow into the player that he showed he can be in round 1 against the Hawks. In round 1 he got 3 Brownlow votes, he changed the game. I think we give him another year just to see if he can put it together, and if he can't, we think about a trade, but I personally want to persist with Perkins for a bit longer. Alright, this one's pretty epic. So Essendon give away Stringer, Shiel, Laverty, and pick 31. This is a 4-way trade. We give away those 3 players and pick 31. We give Shiel and Stringer to GWS. We give 31 and Laverty to the Saints. The Saints get those guys and give Riley Bonner away. It should be noted that Riley Bonner is delisted, so let's say he's not delisted. They give Riley Bonner away to Richmond. So Richmond get Riley Bonner. They give away Shai Bolton. I don't think they'll be happy about that, but who cares about them? I don't actually know who owns 37, or GWS owns 37. I don't know who owns 74. I'm going to guess it is St.Kilda, but I'll change it in the graphic on screen if I'm wrong. If it's not St. Kilda, they get the world's best trade. They give away Bonner and get Laverty in pick 31. Even with 74, they aced it. I feel like there are 3 teams who get what they want. Essendon get a good trade, St. Kilda get a good trade, GWS get a good trade, and then Richmond get a delisted Riley Bonner for Shai Bolton. So I don't know what happened there. Maybe Dodoro took over. He's working on work experience there. I'll take it if this was to go through though. 3 stumps, 3 stumps by the way put down a few really good suggestions, but they were low-key a little bit too sane for me to include in this video. Not saying this one isn't, but I just wanted to talk about some of the funky ones as well. I really like this one. So 42, 43, 45, and 51 from Richmond to Essendon for 31 and a future third. You might think this sounds outrageous and the Tigers would scoff at this. Why would they give away 4 picks for 2 when they're not rising the order that much? But Richmond will be doing stuff like this. They won't be using picks that low. They're going to have about 8 or in the first 30 or 35 selections, so they won't be using these ones in the 40. They're going to be throwing them away in a package for 1 higher pick because their draft end is going to be so large. They honestly may even do something like that just for a future pick, a giveaway like 4 later selections for 1 future. They would at least consider it. This definitely makes sense. It's realistic. In fact, if anything, I'd be worried they'll get a better deal from other clubs here, a higher pick than 31. And finally, let's end with everybody's favourite Darcy Parish to Geelong for pick 17. I think that is the pick being used in the Bailey Smith deal. So let's say Bailey Smith falls through. He wants to stay with the Bulldogs. Geelong turned their attention to a Geelong Falcons boy in Darcy Parish. I think there were links there. Oh, were there? Yeah, a few years ago, I feel like there might have been links to Geelong. Pick 17 for Parish. You know what? You just know what would happen here. We'd be happy to get the deal done. Everyone would be happy with it. Pick 17 comes in. Parish goes to Geelong, and then he gets back to his All-Australian form. If Parish wanted to leave, if he requested a trade, I'd be happy with pick 17, but I wouldn't want to push Parish out the doors. If he was to request a trade, though, I'd like to pick that early. Honestly, I think that is fair for his value, or I don't know, he's another tough one to read. I think that's fair. And that is that, just a few cheeky trade scenarios. We end up with a lot of picks: Connor Stone, Shai Bolton, and I think we lose Darcy Parish, Archie Perkins, Sam Draper, Ben Hobbs, and then Shiel and Stringer about 30 times. So that's the trade period done. Cheers for that. I'll see you guys tomorrow with more trade or draft news. Like, subscribe, and go Bombers.